guys, welcome back to my channel in a slightly different setup. My parents are actually away at the moment, so I'm filming in their room because it's bigger and it's brighter and just generally more aesthetically pleasing than mine is, so that is where we are. But hey, I hope you guys are all well. I don't really know what this is that I'm doing with my arms, but we're just gonna roll with it. Today, I'm gonna be reacting to 1-star reviews of my favourite books. I don't know how I feel about this, like genuinely already a little bit worried that I'm going to have my heart broken into several million small pieces. But you know, we suffer for our art, or in this case, for booktube content, you know? As I'm not the type of person to take negative reviews of my favourite books personally, because obviously, like, we're not all gonna have the same opinion. What you guys love, I might hate, and vice versa. It's what makes the world interesting, you guys. But I just thought it'd be really funny anyway to sit and react to some 1-star reviews of my favourites. My booktube bestie Renee has done this video recently, so she is the inspiration behind me doing it, so full credit to Renee. And I'm just gonna get straight on into it. I'm trying to decide which of these, I've got 5 books here, okay, and I'm trying to decide which of them I'm gonna look at first. So the first book I'm gonna react to is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a fantasy romance book. I read it fairly recently, like around Easter time this year, and absolutely loved it. For anyone who doesn't know, this follows the story of Poppy. She is the maiden and she is approaching her first ascension, which is essentially this like ceremony that's shrouded in mystery. Nobody really knows what happens, nobody talks about it except for those obviously who've already ascended. And Poppy, being the maiden, she's extra special, so she spent her whole life kind of sequestered on her own in total isolation, but she doesn't like that. She rebels against it, she sneaks out, she wants a little taste of life, you know. And then she meets Hawke, her new guard, and magical things happen, you guys. Okay, so I love this book because it was fast paced. I loved it because it was a bit spicy. It was just everything I needed at the time. The second book I did find a lot slower than the first one, and I was gonna give it 3 stars, and then I ended up giving it 5 purely for the ending. So that's where I'm at with the series. But yeah, I thought I'd read some 1-star reviews of this book, so let's get going. Okay, so straight away, Sophia's review. She's called it From Mud and Trash. Can't say I agree, but that is kind of funny, not gonna lie. A lot of people are kind of talking about it being quite info dumpy, and I do get that it is quite info dumpy, and there are a few kind of examples of the author kind of telling, not showing, so like I do get that. Okay. This was like reading a badly written fan fiction combined with all the most repetitive and annoying ass YA tropes we love to hate. Also, never trusting book Twitter for a book recommendation ever again. Book Twitter scares me, okay? Like, just Twitter in general scares me these days. It really does. This book is Twilight on weed. Love that. Are you looking for a book with a very predictable plot and ending that it's almost ridiculous? Search no further, for this is it. Are you looking for a book with smut scenes that'll make you wish you rated Kissing the Coronavirus 5 stars? You found it. Are you looking for a book with well-developed characters? Please keep looking. Are you looking for a book with great world building? This ain't it. Are you looking for a book with an annoying, pathetic and despicable main character? Look no further. Are you looking for a book with a fucked up love interest that will rival Twilight? This is it, my friend. Are you looking for a book that will frustrate the heck out of you? Sign up for this. Are you looking for a romance worthy of an award? You're at the wrong place. That made me laugh. Palumi? I think it was Palumi. Okay, so Ale raises a really valid point here, because she says the problem is, for a lifelong shut-in and isolationist, Poppy doesn't act like one, and that's actually really true. I think literally within the first chapter she snuck off to like a bar and she's super confident being out and stuff, which to me, like, if you've been shut in your whole life, you probably wouldn't be. You'd probably be a little bit agoraphobic. So yeah, okay, like I do get that. They also say that it is predictable to a fault, and again, like, if you watch my reading vlog, you will see that I did predict kind of the first like major plot twist. So again, like, it is, but I still loved it. Okay, I'm gonna read one more. These are not as funny as I thought they were going to be. That's sad. This book was kind of hilarious in a cannot be taken seriously kind of way. Keep your expectations low and your standards lower. Okay, and people are talking about the fact that the consent in this book is dubious, and I would probably agree with that. Like, there are some scenes where it could definitely be better. If the words worship or worshipping appear in one more sex scene, I'm suing. Swear to God, I'm calling my lawyer. The fact that I read this stupid book in its entirety proves that I don't respect myself. Okay, and finally, what in the holy fuck nuts was that? What in the holy fuck nuts was that? I think that is going to be my new saying. So anyway, those were not quite as like spicy as I thought they were going to be, those reviews, but 1-star reviews are from Blood and Ash, some very valid criticism in them, to be honest, let's face it. Yeah. Okay, so the next book we're going to be looking at is Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. This is the first book in the Devil's Night series, and it's a dark, taboo, twisted little romance, and it's so smutty and I love it. So like I say, I really enjoyed this book. This was a 5-star. This was my first Penelope Douglas, and I absolutely loved it. But I do know that this one is definitely going to divide people due to the subject like matter, like the general content kind of thing. So let's see what people had to say. Okay, so Nastasia has said this whole porn thing is about clits and cocks. I love that. Okay, yeah, so I have nothing special to say about the story. Everything is so predictable and dirty. Penelope Douglas is good at writing new adult books, but it's clear she wanted to write a porn contemporary romance with more mature characters and issues, but it all turned out ridiculously immature. It is a very explicit book, but I feel like that is kind of obvious from the synopsis, that it's not going to be like your standard new adult with a little bit of smut. Like, it is obviously going to take that a little bit further. Okay, I mean, I can understand, like I said, completely get why people wouldn't like this. This is not a book that's for everybody, but yeah. Okay, had to take a short pause there to charge my camera because I'm such an amateur and I still forget to charge it before I film. So, Corrupt by Penelope Douglas, I believe, is where we left off. Michael, I just wanted to knock him out with a frying pan, like, to hell with you. I mean, yeah. He was a dick in the book, but at the same time, for some reason, I loved him and I don't know why. I get mad when I have to share my bucket of ice cream with anyone, a mere bucket of ice cream. I don't just get mad, I snatch and hide it away. Now talk more of somebody I've got feelings for that I'm crazy about. Michael's friends were taunting and hurting Rika and he was there watching. He was freaking watching, listening to her cries and protests. Michael, you are all the shades of sick that even Christian Grey never got around to being. Yeah, okay. This was stupid. I feel dumber just for having read this. I cannot think of a single thing that I liked about this book. The blurb was good, that's it. I don't even want to say any more about it because I've wasted enough time skimming to the big reveal bullshit. Yeah, not gonna lie. This is porn, not romance. This book contains a threesome with the hero, heroine and their friend with double penetration, etc. Why isn't there a warning? I'm so pissed I bought this. Fair point. Like that, I don't think there is a content warning, is there, with this? There definitely should be a content warning, to be fair. No, there isn't. There should be a content warning. I totally agree with that one, actually. Because there is a lot of toxic stuff that goes on and just a lot of generally awful behaviour. I would not have given this 1 star if I could. Well, if you like threesome, then it's your type. Yeah. Reading this book is like drowning in toxicity. Yeah. I can't even. I'm not disagreeing with any of these, to be honest. It is quite a toxic and corrupt book, you know, but I feel like that is what you're asking for when you buy a book called Corrupt that is in the dark romance genre, though, to be fair, guys. So next up we have The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is literally one of my all-time favourite books ever written. So if you don't know what it's basically about Evelyn Hugo, who is a Hollywood star from the golden age of Hollywood, and she's had this turbulent love life in the press where she has married like 7 different guys, and everybody wants to know why. And she's never spoken out about it before. She's never kind of been candid about her life before. And then she gives the opportunity to a young journalist called Monique, and you're kind of like wondering why she's chosen this young journalist out of like anybody in the world to write her story, but you do find out at the end. It's little bit of a twist. But this confronts so many important topics, I think. It shows Evelyn as such a strong character, but also so morally grey, and I think that's one of the reasons why I like her so much, because she's not perfect and she doesn't try to be. She is just human. She makes mistakes, she fucks up, she does awful things, but at the end of the day, like, she is still so unbelievably strong, and that's why I love her so much. Other people, however, didn't quite have the same thoughts on this one. Intolerable in every way. Complete trash. Who published this? Somebody actually read this book and thought, hey, other people need to read this. No. Wow, that was long, painful and awful. Skip it, trust me, you're welcome. Lazy and predictable drama, all plot points were easily visible, and frankly this was a disappointing book in every sense. The twists lacked in any creativity. See, I don't understand that. Maybe this is just me being dumb, but like, I couldn't guess any of the twists in it. I remember the first time I read this literally being like blown away by it. So yeah, I don't really, there's only kind of like in my eyes like one major twist. Yeah, I definitely couldn't guess this. Anyway. Slow death by boredom. Okay. Such a stupid book. Don't waste your time like me. Some crude language and crude lifestyles. I mean, okay, but honestly, point a book out to me that is aimed at an adult audience that doesn't have at least one curse word in it, because I cannot think of a single one. You know, I think pretty much every single book from YA to new adult all the way through to kind of contemporary books now all include some form of swearing, and will typically have some form of romance or, you know, a sex scene or something. I think it's very rare to find a book that doesn't have any of those themes in it, unless you're reading like a classic, for example. So shallow and unbelievable. For one, it was way too long. It's not even 400 pages, but okay. You're probably wondering why I kept reading, because I actually kind of liked the first part, but then it was like this horrible soap opera that just kept getting more and more ridiculous. The characters were so irritating, I was rolling my eyes. I loved hearing about Hollywood and the States? Maybe they mean the States? But it just got too far-fetched. The end was really dumb. The end was great! What are you talking about? The end was so good. Oh god, what's Amanda Jean got to say? Evelyn Hugo is a selfish, manipulative and incredibly shallow human being. Yeah, but that's kind of the point. She's a Cuban woman who decides to change her hair colour, her name, deny her heritage and use her body to sleep her way to fame. Then when Evelyn does find love, she is controlling, needy and hurts her lover in order to stay at the top of her career. Again, like, she's not supposed to be perfect, and I think what she does to some of her husbands, yeah, it's not nice, but she's not trying to be perfect. I, as a white woman, don't feel like I'm in a position to comment on the representation of how Evelyn dealt with being a Cuban American, so I'm not gonna go there. I don't have the right to say whether or not it's right or wrong. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that one. There was a point in the book where I thought Evelyn was not going to get her way for once, and then the writer quickly removed the obstacles so Evelyn gets what she desires. There is not a single person in Evelyn's life that she does not use and abuse. No, I disagree. Evelyn is not an empowering figure unless you believe that being a strong woman requires sacrificing your divinity, I think she possibly means dignity, using sexual favours and marrying up in order to get ahead in the world. Again, that's not the message of the book though. Like, yes, she did sleep around, but like, that's not, first of all, so fucking what? Who cares if she wanted to sleep around? Secondly, that's not how she's being a strong woman, whatever. Anyway, the secondary storyline about the journalist is lackluster, and in the end we learn that Evelyn is also using and hurting her. Evelyn's love and attention is not a blessing but a curse. I mean, actually that last sentence is probably fairly true, but even so I still disagree. That did hurt a little bit, not gonna lie to you guys. The next one is my favourite book from last year, and this is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas. This is the first in the Crescent City series, and this is the sexy paperback edition. I now own 4 editions of this book, so I think I need to calm down. But for anyone who is unaware, this is Sarah J Maas's first adult fantasy. It's another urban fantasy set in a world with fae and werewolves and all kinds of crazy fantastical creatures. honestly, I don't even know where to begin with trying to describe this book, because I feel like the plot is so dense and we're still at the very tip of the iceberg for this series, I think. But honestly, it's brilliant. I don't want to give anything away. I do have a reading vlog, which is a spoiler-free reading vlog from when this was first released, so I will actually leave that in the cards for you. So I guess if you want to learn more, go watch that, and that might help give you more of an idea of what the book is about. I loved it. It literally made me laugh, made me cry, every single emotion in the world. So I think it's brilliant, and I think everyone should read it. Right, okay. Now, I'm no prude, but the swearing in this book was totally unnecessary and just came across as childish. If anything, it made Crescent City feel like a young throne of glass, trying to impress all her older friends with her edginess. Crescent City fancies itself quite the little edgelord. With its filthy mouth, drugs, sex and violence, but none of it is handled well. Drugs are treated as something casually edgy that the characters do without any sorts of repercussions. Violence is casual as well and doesn't really serve any purpose in the story. Characters are killed off before we can really care about them properly. And the sexual content is cringy. Well, I mean, in this one, the romance is quite slow burns. There isn't actually really any sexual content. It is very, like, basically she's just building up a ton of tension. I think hopefully that will be rectified in the second book. So I kind of disagree with that one. I mean, yes, again, there's lots of swearing, but like I made the point with Evelyn Hugo, like, it's an adult fantasy book, it's an adult book, like of course there's going to be swearing in it. And I don't think the representation of drugs and stuff like that was bad, to be honest, because at the end of the day, for the audience this is aimed for, once you get to a certain age, you're very well aware that there are drugs in the world. Whether or not you choose to personally do them, they're still there, you know? I think it was just an accurate portrayal of, I guess, like, life in your 20s and 30s, perhaps. I don't know. I mean, I've never done drugs, so haven't got any experience with that one, but yeah, I disagree with that. I disliked Throne of Glass when I read it aged 12, but not because of the writing, and I quite like the first two ACOTAR books, so though I wasn't rabidly excited about SJM's new release, I was more than willing to give it a shot. I made it 3% in, aka 7,000 words before giving up. Come on, 3%? Really? There is so much info dumping, so much. Did I mention there was lots of info dumping? Yes, well, just in case it wasn't clear, there's lots of info dumping. There is, but I mean, this is the first book in like a brand new fantasy series, so I mean, yeah, because she's got to set it up, you know. This is pretty much pure world building, really, with plot obviously as well, but a hefty portion of it is building up the new world. It's a whole new world. I feel about this book the way every dad feels when their child does something stupid. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Oh. Damn, they really do just be publishing anything these days. Apparently so. Apparently so. Is Mass able to write anything new? Go girl, give us nothing. I fuck with the Throne of Glass series until the last two, I think, and nothing else. This is one big did fucking, wait. This is one big fucking did not finish it, because at page 371, I stormed down my apartment hallway and proceeded to fucking vault my book at the couch because Sarah J Maas really made me read about a character wanting to fucking suck toes. Oh, fuck you, this is a fucking boring book that rehashes ideas that were already fucking written, and not by other authors, but that and the author herself. Fuck you, write a fucking LGBT character. Yeah, okay, agree with that point massively. Write a he/him character that doesn't have male angst and brooding written all over him. Stop smirking, stop purring, stop wasting my time. Oh, wow, okay. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, I do definitely agree that she needs a lot more representation in her books. I think that is something that has been spoken about quite widely, is just the lack of representation for LGBT, and then also for people of colour in her books as well. And I know that's something that she's definitely come under fire for. I think it was actually around when she released Tower of Dawn that I became aware of, because it was at that point that I first discovered kind of booktube, and at that point I first discovered her books. So before then I hadn't, you know, really had any exposure. And I remember there being a big discourse around representation in her novels and in the Throne of Glass series in particular when Tower of Dawn was released, because obviously Kale is the first example of like a disability rep in her books, which was a great progress. But I mean, obviously again, I can't talk about whether or not she did it right or whether or not she did it justice. But yeah, there's definitely representation for a lot of different people and a lot of different things missing in her books that should be there. So I completely agree with that incredibly valid criticism. The final book is definitely, it's going to be a contentious one anyway. Honestly, this book has divided so many people. I loved it because, I mean, honestly, I read this after my first COVID vaccine as well, and after my second COVID vaccine as well, and I was a little bit feverish. I was a little bit delirious. Maybe that has something to do with why I loved it so much. But this has divided opinions the internet over. This is Den of Vipers by K.A. Knight, aka probably the most explicit and taboo dark romance book I have ever read in my entire life. So this is about, I've forgotten the girl's name, Roxy. This is about Roxy, and her dad has sold her to the Vipers, who are essentially like a mafia type gang, to pay off his debts. And they basically take her to their house, and there's a lot of dubious consent in this book. There is a lot of dubious consent in this book. Essentially, she ends up having a sexual relationship with all of the guys. It's like a reverse harem book. It's the first reverse harem I've ever read. I did actually enjoy that. But yeah, this is not for everybody at all. And I say I enjoyed it because I think I enjoyed reading something that was just so unrealistic to me in my life, and just so out there. But at the same time, I completely understand why a lot of people just would not have liked this book, because there are a lot of themes in it which are deeply disturbing, and a lot of scenes in it that are deeply disturbing. I'm thinking particularly of the knife scene, which made me cringe. So on to the reviews. 600 pages and I still can't find the plot. Seriously, there is nothing there. I mean, it is pretty much just sex. There's a bit of plot, but it's mostly sex. What's in the Wattpad? Yep, okay. I've still not been on Wattpad, you know. I feel like I missed out on that whole thing. Fanfiction was always a thing when I was a teenager, but I think less so than perhaps it was in like the last kind of 10 years. So I'm showing my age. Actually, no, I was a teenager 10 years ago, just. So yeah, anyway, I missed out on the whole Wattpad thing. Maybe I need to get on there and read some terrible Wattpad books. I did read After, which obviously was on Wattpad originally. Awful, worst book I think I've ever read. Anyway, that's going off topic. I've never been particularly religious, but I think I need to find Jesus after this book. Yep, completely agree. Totally and utterly agree on that one. I also need to find Jesus after reading that book. Okay, what else do we have? Surprisingly, it's not actually got, I thought we'd have majority 1-star reviews, and it actually doesn't. This was the dumbest fucking book I've ever read. Literally, this was literally smut cover to cover, and don't get me wrong, I like that shit. I grew up on Wattpad, hello, but it got to the point where it was so fucking boring. Oh lord, I'm trying to discover more smut and romance in 2021, but I think this was not the book I should have picked up to help me test those waters. Yeah, I mean, I would agree on that one. I do feel like that Den of Vipers is a book that you should only read if you know that you do like reading smut, and particularly like the more toxic kind of dark taboo romances. I said I was going to finish this, but I just couldn't bring myself to read every single word of this crap. I wouldn't subject myself to that kind of torture, so I just kind of skimmed towards the end. Wattpad has better stories than this. This author is not seeing heaven. Oh dear. Oh dear. Surely it can't be that bad, I said to myself before starting this book. Narrator's voice. She was very wrong. Is this the worst book I've ever read? Possibly. Did I enjoy it? Absolutely not. Am I having a hard time to decide what to start with because it was just so fucking bad? You've got it. Oh wow, this review is, it's a long one. I kind of want to read it all though, but I'm not very educated in BDSM, but I'm pretty sure everything in this book violated the basic principles of what that is about quite probably so, yes. And whilst I could spend the entire review talking about the obvious problematic parts of the book, such as the complete lack of consent, obvious Stockholm syndrome, or excessive amounts of torture and violence, but I feel that there are enough people who have brought up these issues, and hopefully if you are somehow planning to read this novel, you're already aware of those things before going in. So instead I'll talk about everything else that's wrong with the book. I'm not disagreeing with anything that she's saying, to be honest, because ultimately the content of this book is it's very dubious. The best way I can describe this book is that it reads like a bad Wattpad fanfiction written by a teenager in the mid-2010s, and I mean that in the most derogatory way possible. The writing is just bad, a repetition and weird terms littering the text, constant inconsistencies, and the plot moving at a snail's pace. I'm not one to judge tropes, even though I'm not the biggest fan of them, but there is nothing to this book except badly executed tropes. Kidnapped and sold to the mafia, check. Bad mafia guys that suddenly find soft spots when a woman comes into their life, check. Strong independent woman that had traumatic past and daddy issues, check, check, check. I mean, yeah, I really don't disagree. The writing is, it's bad. It is bad. Possibly one of the worst books I've ever read. Just basic science medicine wouldn't allow for the treatment of Roxy or the guys to live and act as they do throughout the story. Yeah, probably right. You don't need the book, you need Jesus and therapy. I now have a burning hatred for the word ain't. Kira, just know. So yeah, judge me all you want, but I read it. Honestly, I feel like you can tell a lot about a person by who their favourite Viper is. Yeah. I need a shit ton of bleach. Why? Anyone who rates this more than 1 star needs to go to therapy. I feel called out. No plot, just vibes. Yep, okay, I think I'm gonna leave it there. No plot, just vibes. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please do let me know in the comments below, especially if you've read any of these books. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you're new, please do subscribe, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye guys.